Hello everybody and welcome back to Herbies Garage. Today I'm working on my 2024 Lifan KPX 250 and I'm going to be installing a motorcycle alarm system. And you've probably seen me install this before on other bikes, but today we're going to be putting it on the KPX. And I plan on try to make everything as neat and tidy as I can. I took a while and tried to find the best location, and I'll show you where I plan on putting it. But I had a viewer suggest to me to do something, and I'm going to do it in this video. When I normally install one of these, I just install it, without having any kind of a disconnect on it whatsoever. And the negative about these alarm systems is they do draw just a little bit of parasitic draw, which means that when it's sitting and not being used, it sucks a little bit of life out of that battery, a little each day. It's not a lot, but it does add up over time. After 2 or 3 weeks, you could be draining your battery. So a lot of times you need to put a charger on it. So he suggested putting a on-off switch on the power to cut the power on it whenever I'm not using it, which makes a lot of sense because when it's sitting in the garage, I'm not using it. I don't need it, so I don't turn it on. So I can just turn the disconnect switch off, and then I don't have to worry about the parasitic draw. Only time I'll turn it on is when I'm out riding and I have to stop at the store or something. So it made a lot of sense. So I'm going to show you where I found to put that, and we're just going to go ahead and get started installing it. Hopefully you saw my last video on how to remove this plastic piece, because we're going to get it out of the way and set it clear so we could get in here and get to the wiring and mount everything we need to mount. Now this is what I bought. I bought this from O'Reilly's, and it's just a on-off switch. It's a Dorman switch, and that's what it is right there. And there's a couple reasons why I chose this one. One is it's simple. It doesn't have a light on it. It doesn't require a third wire. It's only going to have one wire going in and one wire going out, which makes it very easy and effective to be able to use. And it's solid black. There's no color. It's not lit, and I don't want it being seen, so this is going to be inconspicuous being put in here with the black, so you're not going to be able to see it very well. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to measure for the hole that I need to cut. So I'm just going to take a couple measurements of this thing, of this switch, because I want it to be as close as possible. So that's 25.5, and I'm just going to mark it. I just have a scratch awl, and I'm just going to kind of get this as best I can. Okay, right there, and right here. Okay, so that's about 25.5. Now I need to measure the thickness. That is 10.3. So I'm going to transfer that. Just going to take this little cutting tool, see how well it cuts. I don't have much to cut. I know this tool doesn't have a lot of power. Pretty sad, actually. All right, let's see how it fits. It's a little tight, so we'll touch it up with the knife a little bit. All right, I touched it up with my knife, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's see how it fits. See, I want the wires closer towards the inside. All right, that fits really good. All right, so that first step is finished. All right, there's a few pieces you get with this kit. You get a couple of key fob remotes. You get the siren. You get the unit itself, and then you get an extension line that plugs into the unit, which gets your wires out a little bit farther. Now, on mine, I've already depinned. I'm only going to be using 4 wires. I'm going to be using the 2 yellows, the red, and the black. The red's going to be power, black's ground, and the 2 yellows are for the turn signals. So I've depinned these 2. Now I'm going to depin this other one so I can show you how to depin it. Now when you look into these connectors, you can see that it has like a wider end on the top and then a smaller end on the bottom. The smaller end is where you want to poke in order to release the locking tab. Now I want to take this gray one out. So this gray one is the top one. So just take you a little tool like this. You could even use a screwdriver or sometimes even a paper clip unfolded, and just stick it in that very bottom part of it like that. You got to kind of push up on the wire and then pull the wire out once you get it released. So let me set it in there, and then we'll pull the wire out like that. So I don't need this gray wire, so I'm going to get rid of it. And what I'm going to do is my red and my black will reach my battery. I'm going to put both of these onto the battery, but the red is going to go to that switch I just installed, and then from the switch to the battery. So it will turn the juice off to this unit whenever I hit that switch. But with these wires, they're not going to be long enough, so I'm going to have to extend them. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Okay, turn signal wires are orange and light blue. So the wires that come out of this unit I took out are blue and orange. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these to extend the wires on my yellow. So the first thing I want to do excuse me. First thing I want to do is I want to strip this wire like that, and then I want to strip my yellow wire. And if you don't have one of these automatic strippers, they're really inexpensive from Harbor Freight. They work really well. I like them. And then I'm going to get in my pack of connectors here, and I got my smallest ones that I like to use for these tiny wires, and I'm going to need 2 of these to extend these wires out. There's 2. And I'll put the rest of them away. This comes in many different sizes. This is kind of a handy little kit. The reason I like to use these is because it makes it less bulky and it'll fit through holes and everything a lot easier after it's connected. Then I'm going to go through here and try to find me a heat shrink that's small. I'm not sure which one of these kits have the small good heat shrink that I like. This one might be it. I've also got this kit. That might be a little big, so I'm going to get one of each out. Now I'll take my wire that I just stripped and I'll put my connector in it like that. I don't want to go all the way in, so I'm going to trim this back or fold this back a little bit. I like to have my wire a little bit long and then double it over like that. That way, I mean, I can always adjust my wire stripper to where it's not so much, but I like to have that little bit of extra. And then I'm going to take this down here and crimp it. As you can see on my crimpers, it shows which gauge wire to use, which crimp to use it on. As you can see, these down here are for the non-insulated, which what this is, and up here at the top is for the insulated. I also got these from Harbor Freight. You know, it's such a handy store to shop at. I've got other tools as well, but these tools work really well. Okay, I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna crimp it. And then you give it a tug test to make sure it doesn't come out. That's good. Then I'll take my yellow wire. I'm just going to repeat what I just did on the other one. Now before I crimp this on here, I want to take my heat shrink. I'm going to cut it in half, that way I could use both pieces. You know, I'm going to be doing 2 of these, so I don't need the whole thing. And then I'll just slide that over before I crimp it. Then I'll put this back in the tool. And I'll shove my wire in. Like that. Oop. Okay, now I'll shove my wire in, and once it's all the way in, I'll crimp it. And then give it a tug test. And that's good. So then I'll just slide my heat shrink over the top of it, and we'll heat it up. You can use whatever you want for heating this up. You know, open flame is always the best, but my lighter thing is empty, so this works really well too. I'll show you what this is. This is just a heat gun made by DeWalt, but it's a really good one. I like it a lot. It gets so hot that you can actually loosen rusted frozen bolts on things. It works really well. It's adjustable. But look at that splice. That's just barely thicker than what the wire is. I love it. It works great using those. Okay, now we'll do the other one. That's the orange one. Now we'll get ready to do the blue one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this in. We're going to fold this over. Shove this in. Give it a good crimp. Tug, tug, tug. Good. Wire. Fold it over. Okay, now we slide our heat shrink over it. I kind of boogered up the other end of the heat shrink. My cutters aren't the very best. My scissors. And we'll put our connector back in here to crimp it. And then we'll shove a wire in. Okay, give the tug test. Good. Okay. There's our wiring harness that's ready to go. Red for power, black for ground, and my 2 turn signal wires. And as you can see, they're color coded now. It doesn't really matter. You can put them either direction because you're trying to flash all the turn signals at one time. There is no direction to it, so it doesn't really matter. I just did this for demonstration purposes, basically. It doesn't really matter. Okay, now I'm going to show you where I'm going to mount this at. Okay, here's the unit, and here's the sticky pad they give you for it. My plan is I'm just going to put it right here, inside here. Now it's going to have a cover. The side cover is going to be over this. It's going to be pressing against it, so I don't have to worry about it coming out. Probably won't get much water or anything in there, but this is supposed to be waterproof, so it should be okay. But you just peel the sticker part off of it. Excuse me. Alright, after you peel the sticker off of it, you just stick it on there like that. And you can peel the other side off. Now you're ready to mount it, permanently mount it. So we're going to set it inside here, and we're going to push down. Get it good and secure in there. Now my wires are going to be back like this. This right here is the antenna, so you kind of want this up like that, which, like I said, it's going to be behind a cover. You're not going to see it anyway. The siren I'm going to mount down here and then just plug it in over there. So first thing I'm going to do, make sure I have enough. I'm just going to leave that tie on there. It came with this tied already, so I'm just going to leave it on there, and then I'm just going to stick this over there like that, out of the way. I'll peel that off and set that in. Press her down. Gotta make sure it's good and clean first. Only problem with putting it here is that turn signal flasher right here ever goes out. You have to pop this out, but it's always easy just to re-stick this if you have to. I'm okay with it. If you want to put it up here, you can put it up here, or if you want to put it in a different location, that's entirely up to you. But mine's going to go right there. Now, I'm going to hook up my harness wires to it, like that. And my 2 wires that go up to my turn signals. I'm going to be drilling a hole in the plastic, and I'm going to run it up through there. Now my wires are going to come through right below here, so I want them to come out right about here, and they're going to run along this rail along with this other wiring harness. I'm going to run it right alongside next to that. So I'm going to drill me a hole. I'm going to get as close to the frame as I can. It's just plastic, like I said. I may have to make the hole bigger. See the hole right there? Now I'm going to run the wires up through that. Okay, now I'm going to run the wires up through here. Now I'm hitting the splice, so you got to kind of work those through. I'll pull all the wire through that I need, just like that. All right, now I'm just going to take these wires and run them right next to the others. And I'm going to bring them up through here. Alright. Now I'm going to zip tie these wires along with these other wires, but we're going to go ahead and connect these back here first. Just lift this back and pull these wires out. Expose your turn signal wires. Now here's your grounds. Your green are your grounds. Your orange is your, I think, the left turn signal. Blue is the right. So it doesn't really matter, like I said, on the motorcycle alarm. It's not going to make any difference. So we're going to go ahead and hook the blue to the blue though, and the orange to the orange. This is pretty delicate, so you're best off just using a pair of pliers to pull this out. Sometimes they're hard to get out. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my orange to the orange and then put it back in. I'm going to put a new connector in it. Okay, so we're going to start with the orange. Got to make sure I don't stretch these wires too much. Make sure we got enough slack. So we're going to put the orange to the orange, so I'm going to cut that off there. I don't need that extra. And I'm going to cut this one off. I'm going to try to save as much of this wire as I can. So I'm going to scoot that up a little bit. Okay. Now we'll take our stripper, strip off both of those. And then we'll tie these two together. Now that we have them tied together, we'll fold it over a little bit, like that. Okay, now I've got my connector crimped on. I'm going to go ahead and slide on a heat shrink to protect it. All right. All right, now we'll do the blue wire. We'll cut it somewhere around there. Cut that off. Basically doing the same thing, just doing it over, repeating the process. So now we'll slide on our heat shrink. Good enough. Now we'll go ahead and plug in the blue to the blue. And the orange to the orange. Okay, that part of it is finished. Let's go ahead and put this cover on it. Like that. And we'll put these wires down in here like they're supposed to be. Tuck them in. Fold that holder down. Okay. Now all we have to do is tuck our wires in. Now we'll cut our tails off. Make it look pretty. Now that's all nice and neat. You'll never see it because the seat and pan will be over it and everything will be covered. Okay, now we want to hook up our hot wire to our switch. So we're going to be tying these wires back in here, something like this. And we want this wire to attach here, so we're going to cut it about there. And we'll strip it. Now on this one, we'll go up to the insulated section up here at the top. Give it a good crimp, and we check it. Do the tug test, everything's good. Okay, I'm gonna trim this. Hopefully that wire is going to be long enough. All right. I think I can slide the heat shrink on after, so I'm not gonna worry about it right yet. Tug test. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and plug this up to our switch and put the, whoa, that stuff's still a little bit sticky. I better let it cool a little bit. While we're letting that cool, let's go ahead and do this other end. All right, now that this side's cooled down, let's go ahead and hook it up. Now we're going to get ready to hook this one up to the negative side of the battery. All right, now we'll go ahead and hook this up. I'm just going to run this wire around this way. Let's see. I wonder if I could run it behind that. I don't want this positive lead being too close to this negative post, so I'm going to open that up a little bit. I'm going to try to run that wire behind that. Try to keep it away from it a little bit. I think that'll work better. That'll give me plenty enough. And then I'll tighten it down. Put the boot back on it. Tighten this down. Make sure that wire didn't get pinched. It's okay. I'll take the negative loose. Put the negative on there. Okay. I'm just going to cut a split in this so that this will go over that a little bit better, like that. That way it'll stay in place. All right, I think I'm just going to run this antenna wire up here through the top like that. And just kind of fold it around so to kind of stay up there out of the way. And then I'm going to tie all these together, make it look nice and neat. I think I'll push this back here a little bit. And I'll cut that tail off. Now we'll go ahead and look at the whole installed system. Nice, clean install. Okay, I'm going to show you what this is going to look like. Let me kind of just loosely set that in place. And here's the side panel that goes on it. It goes on like this, like that. So that's going to cover everything. And as you can see behind here, it goes over the lip of that. So it's going to seal it good. Nothing's going to fall out. Shouldn't get too much water in there. And my concealed switch is right here. Easy to get to. I just stick my hand behind it, turn it on, turn it off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try it now. Okay, now we're going to arm it. Woo, that thing is loud. Now we're going to disarm it. I'm going to turn the lights off so you can see what it looks like in the dark. Okay, this is arming it. This is disarming it. As you can see, it's pretty dang bright. Okay, I'm going to arm it. And I'm going to get up here and kind of mess with my bike. See, right now the sensitivity is a little bit low. I can change the sensitivity on it, but I have found that if you get the sensitivity too light, then it'll start going off when the wind's blowing on it or something. And it's not as good. I know I've done it before with several bikes. I had a bike one time that I set the sensitivity really low, went in the store in Walmart, came back out and my bike was just blaring away. I had no idea how long it was doing that. So I'd rather have it a little bit lower. So if somebody really starts messing with it, try to load it in a truck or something, it will go off. Believe me, it will. Now I want to show you the switch that I installed to shut this unit off. Now, as you can see, I can arm it and disarm it. But if I hit the switch, I can't do anything. I arm it, disarm it, it doesn't do anything. But if I take it out of the garage and go for a ride and I want to go to the store, turn it on, arm it, disarm it. That process was a pretty long process because I did a lot of wiring and things on it and having to place the stuff in place and, you know, everything I had to do. And it took a little bit longer than I thought. It took me, I think the camera said 1 hour and 11 minutes. I don't know how long the video is going to be. I'm going to try to edit down as much as I can. I want to try to leave as much as possible in case somebody wanted to do this and really was unsure, so they could kind of follow along and do what I did if they'd like to. But I kind of like it in the position I put it in. You could put it up in here and underneath the seat and put it there, and that would be fine as well. But you have to run wires back or wherever you're going to run them to hit the turn signal wires. And I think that the way that I did it was probably the simplest for me. So if you decide to do this, I hope it goes well for you. Hope the video was helpful to you. And I guess that's where I'm going to end it at. I appreciate you coming along and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment too. I like to read the comments. So I appreciate every one of you. Thanks a lot. I'll see you on the next one.